Welcome to another edition of the Insider Recruiting Scoop. I'm Jarret Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Mighty Joe, let's talk some football recruiting here. The Red Raiders had a huge junior day event last weekend. I think they wisely took advantage of the great atmosphere surrounding the basketball game against Kentucky. On these kind of events, and they did this last year for the Kansas game, and I think it was in February. Great atmosphere. ESPN Game Day was here and all that, and it lent like at least 5 commits eventually, some big time and commits. And it was not right after the weekend, but it was a big step in the process. And so like when those kids come in for a junior day event like they had last weekend, they'll tour the campus. The Coach Wells will make a presentation to the recruits and the family, of course. And then they'll have like their strength coach talk about their weight program, the nutrition, all that. And then they show the facilities, like I said. Then they try on uniforms and do a photo shoot, in the locker room, which the kids love. They get to pick their uniform combo and all that with their numbers. And then, in this case, on Saturday, they took them to the basketball game, which I think 9 out of 10 of the recruits that I interviewed, they said that was their favorite part. And go figure, right?
Yeah.
But I also found interesting that I continue to that every kid seems to like have a different uniform combination that they like. There's not one that I could say like, oh, most kids really like. Maybe the all black, but I don't know. See, these kids seem to really like the red. Some of them like the white, like be all iced out. So it's pretty interesting. Some big things came out of this weekend. Some big recruiting updates for me, Mighty Joe. One, and I think this is the most pressing one, is Philip Blidi did visit. He was excited about visiting for the junior day event, even though he's obviously 2020 commit. He was the only commit not to sign with the Red Raiders in the early period. But he said, when he told me his favorite part of the trip was getting to hang out with his future teammates. That sounds pretty good to me. I mean, he didn't care to kind of go into it anymore, but he did say hang out with his future teammates and his coaches was his favorite part. So, and he always loves coming to Lubbock, his future home. So I mean, I don't know how it can sound any better than that. It didn't make him write in blood or anything.
Right. Yeah. That's not too subtle.
Right.
I mean, so that sounds very, very good. And, I'm high on him as a prospect, and I'll be happy when it's all said and done and
right.
he's inked and ready to come on in and roll.
Yeah. And I know that sometimes these seem like sagas with some of these recruits, but then again, you ask about understandably constantly. So if we weren't providing these updates, we wouldn't be doing our gig here. Another guy who, speaking of saga, is Brandon Frazier, the tight end out of McKinney North. He was committed. He was done. He was going to Arkansas, and then Chad Morris got fired. All right, and so he opened his recruitment back up. He's visited Texas Tech, visited Auburn, where Chad Morris is now the offensive coordinator. Then he visited Arkansas again just this last weekend. Brandon Frazier is a 6'7", almost 240-pound tight end with chops, receiving chops. I mean, he put up some serious numbers in high school. He is as close to coming from high school to being able to play in the Power 5 that I can imagine. I even took that from the Auburn side. They consider him SEC ready. So it's not just me saying that. I really like him. He has a lot of Tech ties, a lot of West Texas ties especially, He likes the coaching staff. He likes everything about Tech, I think, except for their recent lack of success. I think that's the only thing holding Tech. I think he would have already been on board with Tech if it wasn't for that. Because when you're competing with Auburn, who does, I mean, they're at least in contention to go to the playoffs every year. I'm not saying they do, but they're in contention for it. That's something to consider, and you can't blame them. But a lot harder to get on the field for Frazier at Auburn than it is at Tech right now. Now Arkansas. He likes Fayetteville. Obviously, he was committed there before. He likes the new coaching staff. He likes how they want to use tight ends. So they're still in play, too. Alabama's not really in play anymore. Even though Frazier has over 20 offers, it's really down to these 3 schools. And by the time you see this, he may have already announced a commitment, to be honest. So he told me that after he went and visited Arkansas, which was last weekend, he was going to be making a decision pretty quick. He wasn't going to wait until signing day. He wasn't going to do that to the other schools. He's going to try and make up his mind, announce a decision before the actual signing day. So to me, those are the two, in terms of finishing the 2020 class, that's it. And we mentioned in another video, offensive lineman, maybe you add through the portal. I think also a safety, something like that. But I think, once again, that'll be portal, not high school recruits. These are your 2 high school recruits to round out the 2020 class that you're trying to go after.
Yeah, Frazier. I mean, I think you got to probably take it as a positive for Tech that he didn't sign on the spot. When he was
Right.
down, or commit when he was down in Auburn
Or Arkansas.
on the Plains,
Yeah.
or Arkansas. So it sounds to me like he is genuinely he's got a real decision on his
Yeah.
hands. He's kind of conflicted, and the Tech is in the mix. So who knows what's exactly going on inside his head? But it certainly sounds like Tech is very much in the running for his services, and I wouldn't be shocked if any of the three schools
Me
that he
neither.
goes with.
Me neither.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised at any of them. So maybe he'll get up with the good guys, and we get some good news there.
Yeah, and there's several crystal ball predictions for Auburn kind of crop up. And I'm not saying he's not going to commit to Auburn. I would not be surprised at all. But I think some of that was just kind of once the ball gets rolling, and just kind of one of the things that happens in the industry sometimes. I think he truly is really considering all three. Auburn may very well be the leader, but he's told me himself he does like Arkansas and he does like Tech. There are positives and negatives in terms of his decision with all three schools. So, and it makes sense. So we'll have to see how it plays out. And to me, like, that really is where almost all my focus is in terms of recruiting right now is Frazier. So, but moving ahead to 2021, it was a junior day. There were a lot of 2021 recruits on campus, some big-time names, several four-star guys. And one of the guys I want to mention, one of the four-star guys is actually quarterback commit Baron Morton. All right, look, one of the things I love about this kid is, first off, he's a coach's son, all right, so he's connected. He's a big-time player, one of the highest-rated quarterbacks in the state, which is a big deal anywhere, but especially in Texas. And he's a very likable guy. You talk to him, everybody likes Baron. That's just the way it is. So he has a lot of friends throughout the state. A lot of these recruits that Tech's going after, and he is recruiting as hard as any of those coaches. And he told me it was imperative for him to be on campus for junior day to help in that recruiting effort. And then when I talked to him after here just a couple days ago, he was really excited. He thinks some good things really happened, that some guys are going to jump on board that Tech fans are really going to be excited about. And he said he thinks the 2021 recruiting classes, and a lot of recruits say this, but I agree. I think this could be a kind of a real foundation for this program. I think one of the reasons is because of Barron, that they have a really good shot to sign a better class than I think we've become used to here recently.
Yeah, it's really interesting, the phenomenon of commits and recruits becoming recruits.
Right.
That's something I just don't remember seeing, say, 15 years ago too
Yeah.
much. Maybe it went on, but you didn't hear about it too much. Now, it's like these guys should be getting paid a little bit. Now, I'm not suggesting that this is going on or anything like that. I think that might be a violation. All right. So, yeah, it's good to have a guy in your class, in the fold, a guy who's got skins on the walls, and a guy who's got some some personality and some communication skills, and the quarterback as well, who is you always want to have that quarterback, a really good one in the class, is kind of the linchpin of the class, and so that sets up well. And I hope that Morton is correct, and it's a great class.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how it all plays out. I don't expect a lot of commits, but I think a couple of big ones I think that are really going to excite some Red Raider fans are going to happen very, very soon here. And then, Joe, going back to what you were saying about guys seemingly recruiting more, commits actually becoming recruiters more now than in the past. I think you're right. Even Coach Wells said on the early period signing day, he was kind of talking about that and how all the guys talk to each other. They're on group chats, all this. They really know each other. He said, it wasn't that long ago that you really didn't know the other recruits in your class, and maybe you saw them on like a junior day, you got to know them, or spring ball was a big deal. The guys really didn't know each other the way they do now. Now with 7-on-7, some of them, a lot of guys that Tech recruit, especially play basketball as well, so they see each other in summer league and basketball, and then of course social media. I mean, how they're all grouped together and tied together, so they really know each other now and are able to recruit one another, unlike in years past.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. I can't wait to see what happens with Frazier. Get some, like you said, finality with Blidi, hopefully coming up soon, the signing day, and then 2021 looks very promising. But Mighty Joe, great stuff from you as always. Thank y'all for watching, and until next time.